Okay, good afternoon and welcome to Iyun with Benzion. Today we're analyzing Yevamos Sadivov 96. I see some people, I'm going to have to mention this a lot number of times. I see some people are unsubscribing from me. A little upset by this because I think the only difference I made is that I put on a jacket and tie, and I think people feel that maybe I lost my identity. Maybe it used to be this guy was a cool guy. He was a guy we could relate to, and now he became a rabbi. Well, I want to tell you something. First of all, I don't look like a rabbi. I look like a businessman, all right? I'm making it more professional. If I wanted to look like a rabbi, I would take off the tie. I'd be one of those yeshivish people with the black jacket. I look like a businessman, all right? I shaved. I don't have a beard. I'm a businessman. And second of all, it's going to be more professional. And second of all, if you know me and you know my animated videos, I just because I dress like someone more dignified doesn't mean I act like a rabbi. I will never act like a rabbi. I will always be the coolest guy in the world, the most confident and coolest guy in the world. So you have no worries. Don't worry. I didn't change my personality. I might have changed my dress to look more professional because when you give over content that's more professional and you're producing content that's quality, that I think has all my content has reached the level of professionalism. I'm no longer an amateur. I'm a professional. You got to dress the part also. So to that end, keep subscribing. And if you unsubscribed, you made a terrible mistake. You're going to regret it for the rest of your life. Go back and subscribe again. All right, let's analyze Daf Sadi Vav Manal. It talks about mimer by a katan, a 9-year-old, a child who's 9 years old in one day. It says elsewhere in other Gemaras that he's considered royal labia. He's reached a status where he's royal labia. He's still a katan though. You're not until you're 13 years old and you produce 2 pubic hairs. You're not a gadol. You're a katan. And the Gemara says many places in kedusha katan klum. It's not worth anything. His kedushin is not worth anything. He is royal labia. So how does that help over here? So in summary of all the halachos that basically are laid out on Daf Sadi Vav Aleph is that if he's one of the brothers that's waiting for the Yevama, and he does Bia, he has not become her as the Yevama, but he has passes on the Ach, and whether he does that Betchila or if another brother has done a half a kinyan, as in a mimer, let's say, and he does a Bia, he passes it for the brother who did mimer, even the brother did mimer was a gadol. And then at the end it says something else that even though his Bia is considered mimer begadol, his mimer or his chalitza and his get, if he does chalitza or he does mimer, so those are less effective than a bia, to the effect that if he was the first brother to do a mimer, he gave her kedusha kesef or something like that, so then he would pass on the other brothers. But if he did it after a first brother did mimer, his mimer is insignificant, and it wouldn't ruin it, both according to Gamliel and according to the Rabban. The Gemara says at the end of the daf. What's the explanation? What is the nature of a kata, a 9-year-old? He's royal labia. What does that mean exactly? And how does it relate to Yibam? I like to explain it like this: that if you go back in your mind to when you were a young boy, if you're a boy, I don't know what in the mindset of girls at that age. Girls mature earlier, but I remember when I was like, I guess 4th or 5th grade, like I think there was a point like where I started liking girls. Like there's a point like you go from like girls are just like the same as boys and you're friends and you hang out and you play sports with them or you just do anything with them. There's a point where you actually have a crush. You have a crush on a girl. I remember in 4th, 5th grade I had a crush on a girl. I'm not gonna tell you who, but I had a crush on a girl in 4th or 5th grade. How old was I? 8, 9 years old. It's royal labia. Technically, maybe physiologically, you could also produce sperm. Um, but it wasn't in like a crush. Is not in like you liked her, but not. It wasn't like a sexual way. It wasn't like you wanted to be together with her. It's more like you wanted to marry her. You have a crush on her. You want to marry. You want to be with this girl for the rest of your life. You have a crush on her. I think the sexual aspect where you want to have sex with the girl um, comes later, at a more around bar mitzvah age. Um, Around 13 years old, that's when you become not royal bia, you have a desire for bia. Royal bia, again, as I mentioned, there's two aspects to the bedroom. There's one aspect which is the bia, which is the sexual desire of the man. You just want to do it with the woman. And then there's a higher aspect where it's be'ila, you want to be a baal, where you want to be married to the woman, and you want to treat her in the bedroom with respect equally and do what pleases her in the bedroom also. And that's the sign of a marriage, of an isuin, of a marriage. And I think it's interestingly enough, usually nisuin is thought of as a higher level as kedushin, but I think the maturity for wanting an nisuin happens earlier, happens when a child turns 9 years old in one day. Maybe he could physically produce sperm, but he doesn't have that same sexual desire just to satisfy his own urges. And therefore, as we talked about many times, by Yibum, there's two things. There's a Kinyan Yibum, which is almost like a Kinyan Kedushin, and then there's a Kinyan Nisuin, which is making Nisuin. So when the Gemara says that they made the Bias Bein Tesha K'maimer B'Gadol, it's Kim-Maimer. It's not exactly the same as Maimer. Maimer of a Gadol, he does Maimer, the Kedushin. He accomplishes the Kinyan Kiddushin, the Kinyan Yibum, right? Yevamos Yavo Aleha, he does Bia. Yevamo Yavo Aleha. Bia is one of the ways of Kiddushin. Velachal Isha, Nisuin is consummated later. He can even do both at the same time if he does a Be'ila. If he does not something, let's say he raped her or something like that, he did a full Be'ila, marital relations with her, he could really actually do both at the same time. But if he's 9 years old in one day, Ein Maisa Katan Klum, he doesn't have that sexual urge, so therefore his Kiddushin is batel, is meaningless. But the second aspect happens. So K'mayim Rogadol, it's like the Maimer Rogadol, but it's exactly the different Kinyan. The Gadol, when he does Maimer, he accomplishes the Kinyan Yibum, but not the Kinyan Nisuin. And the Katan, Bein Tesha, when he does Bia, he's Makayim, the Kinyan Nisuin, but he is lacking in the Kinyan Yibum. The Kinyan Yibum, which is like a Kinyan Kiddush, he's lacking in Kiddushin because ain't Kiddush Katan Klum, it's worth nothing. So that's all it means over here. That's why if he does Bein Batchilim himself, he would pass on the Achim because he did half a Maisa. Now, the end it says that if he does Maimer, he does Chalitza, that is, it's not nothing, but it's not as significant as a Kinyan Nisuin, because when you do Maimer, the Gemara says, it's interesting. All Reb Meir says, it says, Tanya Namihach, Yishlo Gera, Katan has Gera, Yishlo Maimer, the Reb Meir. So Reb Meir Yishlo Gera, Tanya, Asu Bias Bein Tesha Maimer Gadol, Reb Meir Omer Asu Chalitz Bein Tesha Geges Begadol. So when the Bryce says that a Katan Bein Tesha has Get and Maimer, it really doesn't mean he has Get and Maimer, because Get and Maimer of a Katan is basically Kiddushin, right? The Get ruins the Kiddushin, it removes the Kiddushin, and the Maimer would be a Kiddushin. And regarding Kiddushin, the workings of a Katan are meaningless. All it means over here, like the Gemara says explicitly, is that Chalitza and Bia, which are relevant to the Nisuin. What is Chalitza? We'll have to get into Chalitza soon. We're going to get into a parak which talks about just the mitzvah of Chalitza, how you do it. Chalitza is taking off the shoe. She takes off the shoe off the man, because symbolically, the shoes that a man wears is really the woman that he's married to. If you didn't know that. So, if you're wearing shoes, the type of shoes you're wearing are the type of wife you have. If you didn't know that. So, when the Yevama takes off the shoes, she's dissolving the marriage. She's dissolving the Nisuin. That's what she's doing. So he has an ability to do that. So when he does Chalitzas Bein Tesha Get Begadol, it is effective. Rameir says the Chalitza is like a get, and the Maimer and the Bia is like a Maimer. The Bia does an Nisuin, and the Chalitza actually removes the Nisuin. Now, if it's a little stronger, meaning the Bia is like if one brother did a Maimer and then he does a Bia, so he's consummating a Nisuin, he's doing a Nisuin, so therefore both are effective. One brother did the Kiddushin, the Kinyan Yibum, one brother did the Nisuin. But if his brother did a Maimer and then he did a Chalitza afterwards, so I actually think that would be valid. I'm actually saying it would be valid over here. All the Gemara says that his get is partially invalid. His chalitza would be valid because it's completely removing the Kinyan Nisuin, which he's empowered to do. When the Gemara says that he has half powers of get, then like the Gemara says in Kiddushin that even though the Kiddushay Katan is Klum, but the purpose of Kiddushin is Sorech Bia, is to bring you closer to a Bia, to a marriage with them. So therefore, when he gives a Maimer or he does a get, so it's half. It's not valid as a kedusha, but it is valid as a hechsher for the nisuin. So it's like a half nisuin. It's a hechsher for the nisuin. We're going to learn in Maseches Kedushin that the Gemara says kedusha kesev and shtar sorach bia. They're sorach for a bia of a nisuin or a kedushin. So therefore, it's like a hechsher for the nisuin. It's half a nisuin. So therefore, it wouldn't be effective after the mimer or after the get of a gadol, but it would be half effective. That's the conclusion of today's shir. I'll see you in the next one.